I went to public school at a predominantly all-white town. Not only my experience helped shape my animation series, The Matumbilas, but it also helped shape my perspective on life.
Well, good morning, Zabumafu. Alex?
Salam and peace, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Zulfika Manzi, or you can just call me Zul. Just don't call me Zabumafu, as you guys may have seen from the first episode of Matumbilas, where Mick McCruss, called Zulfika Zabumafu. And a lot of those elements you have seen in the first two episodes in season one of the Matumbilas, as the youngest character in the family, Zulfika, who is loosely based on me. It's not entirely me, but it's loosely based on me. And essentially, those experiences derived from my time going to elementary school and middle school in this town in Massachusetts known as Long Meadow. So, making this video, I really wanted to trace back to my public school roots to essentially show you guys a bit of my real-time perspective visiting my schools again, and now as an adult, how do I relate to these elements and what feelings do I get when I go back to my old stopping grounds. And the first stop that I went was my old elementary school, Center Elementary School, or just simply known as Center School.
All right, guys, so this is very odd for me to be back here all these years. I'm standing right in front of Center Elementary School, where I went to elementary school from 2003 to 2009. And I know you guys are commenting right now saying, oh, you unk. Well, I guess I might as well embrace it. When I first came here to Long Meadow, the first thing that spiraled my mind, I drove here with my mom, and I was like, wow, this is a really beautiful place. Beautiful houses, green acres, really nice lawn, all these different things. I was so mesmerized. And then when school was over, I went on the bus, and then this right here is literally where I would stand in front of the bus. So I would stand in front of the bus stop right here, actually, and the bus would come through down this road. And at that time, we used to share the bus with the kids who also went to the JCC, which was the Jewish Community Center. And then when we would drop them off right at Dickinson Street, then we will go down Dickinson Street to enter Springfield. And that's where us Metco kid students were remaining on the bus.
Metco is a busing program that started in the 1960s in Boston. And this program, the intention was meant for black students be able to have the opportunity to be integrated to suburban white schools. So the racial tensions around the country was so high, and then you see what was going on in Boston, and to have black students to be integrated in these predominantly white public schools at that time period was severely, really dangerous, especially for a lot of those black students because of the violence, a lot of the disparaging comments, and just the overall mental and physical abuse that the racist white students would implement to those earlier Metco kids.
And that was the first time I was called Zul, because everyone was like, yeah, Zafika's too hard for us to pronounce, so we're just going to call you Zul. So yeah, so that's the origin of my name, Zul, but also my first experience getting on the Metco program bus. And then from there, it became a 13-year experience. Anybody who's been to Center School, comment below. Yeah. Up here, this is where we did our egg drop project. So I put that in the episode of the Matumbilas titled Mina's First Date and Mama Harusini Kungwi in episodes 3 and 4 in season 2.
Mom, are you ready to help me with my egg drop project?
Like most of the time I didn't prepare well, so I just literally just grabbed random pieces of paper and stapled it around this egg. I dropped it, and it actually survived, but then some kid stopped on it, so I got like a C-.
I guess wrapping my egg with pieces of paper wasn't effective.
In the Matumbilas, the first episode, Standout Student, I was finding correlation from my experience being the only black student, and also being the only Muslim student in my classes and also in my grade at times. And in the episode, we see the main character Zulfika in the middle between his two classmates, Jack and Emily. Where we see, in that episode was how his teacher, Miss McCrest, not knowing how to pronounce his name. So I remember, going to school, especially elementary school, I already knew that every time there was class attendance, when my teacher would start reading the names, I already knew who it would be when she starts to stumble. And yeah, sometimes it will be the 80th day of school, the 100th day of school, but it will be days and days and days where I always have to raise my hand, and I automatically knew it was my name. So once it got here, it was just like, I automatically, I just automatically had to raise my hand because I knew exactly who she was going to call next. Your boy.
This is the 100th day of school. My name is Zulfika.
Also in the episode Standout Student, where Zulfika told Miss McCrest that he's going to do a class presentation about his home country, Tanzania, and his classmate, Emily, turned around like this.
Really? Wow! My sister Amy went there to teach kids in villages how to read.
When I was in elementary school, anytime when something mentioned about Black history, I was an automatic delegate for it. My teacher was talking to us about the different inventions that Black people did. And I remember particularly she said that Black people invented jazz. And this white girl, she was standing like this. She just turned around and she was just like, oh my God, right at me. And I was so baffled, like, well, how do I even respond to this?
Isn't that cool, Zulfika?
Anything that was just Black oriented, I felt like I always had to be a spokesperson for it. Whether it was about Martin Luther King, whether it was about Harriet Tubman, or anything just has to do with Black, I was the guy to talk about it.
Can I rub your hair, Zulfikir?
Huh?
Please, can I at least touch it? Please.
The fascination of touching hair, became something that, as a student, I didn't really understand of that being any racial elements. I just thought that, yeah, I got, amazing texture hair. If you guys want to have a little, spin on it, have a little rub on it, cool, go right ahead. But consciously, I didn't really understand what that entailed.
Oh, you betcha. Go right ahead.
This feels great. I can definitely feel the wool texture.
Sure enough.
And but I'll just kind of let it happen, considering thought this was something that was deemed to be okay, but essentially it really wasn't. And I think for the students themselves, it was also in some cases maybe in a place of innocence because they just never seen any other Black person before. The population as far as Black people in Long Meadow is very, very short. I mean, it's probably like 2%. Maybe 1%. And so I was like the very first Black person these kids have ever met in their whole entire life. That's how it was. But then when you start becoming like 13, 14 years old and that type of behavior continues to evolve and continues to happen, you start to realize that wasn't also innocence. That's just also pure ignorance.
I really, really don't want you to touch my hair again, okay?
When I think back, I was probably, I don't know, man. There's probably maybe I'm gonna be generous. I'm probably saying there's probably maybe 3 Muslims in the whole entire school when I was in elementary school. I'm just being generous because I really have no idea what the accurate number was. But I instinctively know that I was the only Muslim in the whole entire school, at least in my class. And very early on, I was told by my parents, don't eat pork, don't eat pork, don't eat pork. So I was like, okay, don't eat pork. So in elementary school, automatically I knew that we had something to do with ham. Sorry, I can't eat it. Hey, Zulfika, you would like to get some pepperoni pizza? Sorry, I can't eat it. Oh, you want some hot dogs? Sorry, I can't eat it. So that was also my catchphrase. Sorry, I can't eat it. So in the Matumbilas, we got the second episode titled Good Old Pork, which basically is a satirical outlook on my experience, not being able to involve myself with a lot of class activities that had to do with the porkisms.
I have a feeling the pizza is gonna have pepperoni.
Now, in the episode Good Old Pork, I never went to detention for not eating pepperoni pizza and, my teacher having a celebration that her kittens got born and things like that. But, in school, like, things like that kind of went down in some sense. So Good Old Pork definitely is an episode that stemmed from me not eating certain school lunches and not participating in certain school activities because of the pork elements. See, my brothers and sisters, you can't go with the swine. You got to use your mind so that you won't waste no time. You understand? I be dropping dimes because it sounds like lime.
The revolution will be televised.
Televised? What channel's Revolution?
A lot of things while we were in school, we may think that, yo, man, this is something that's just gonna keep happening to us forever. But nothing lasts, everything's temporary. But, for those of you who are watching, who are in school right now, whatever challenges that you're dealing with in school, whether it's through some students or it's dealing with certain teachers, understand that this situation is only once in your life. It may seem that this is going to be an everlasting situation because as a child, this is your whole entire world. Your whole entire world is your classmates. Your whole entire world is your teacher. And you just assume that this is what's going to be the everlasting effect of our life. And I used to really think that for real, man. And until once I left, right? Because at some point you're going to have to graduate unless you just going to be left back over and over and over again. But even if you graduate elementary school as a 21-year-old, you graduated. And essentially from that situation, you're like, wow, what was I tripping about? Because those elements were predicaments that are meant to help shape you and help to build your character and help build your perspective on life. So after going from Center School, I went to Glenbrook Middle School, and was just reflecting and just kind of like was thinking to myself, like, okay, now as an adult, what are my perspectives now, coming back to my old stomping ground at Glenbrook Middle School? And these are my thoughts.
So Glenbrook Middle School was where I attended from 2009 to 2012. In the Matumbilas, in the episode Standout Student, immediately, when it goes into the scene in the classroom of Zafika with his teacher, Miss McCruss, we see the opening Glenwood Middle School, which is basically a playful word of Glenbrook Middle School. There it is. In the episode Standout Student, when Zafika was in the middle of class attendance and his teacher, Mick McCruss, stated, good morning, Zaboomafoo. The name Zaboomafoo originated in this place. That's right. Now, my teachers actually did not call me Zaboomafoo. My classmates who were my friends too, they were jokingly saying like, Zaboomafoo, to name me after the monkey from that show. What's the name of that show? It was called Zaboomafoo, right? I kind of entertained it, and that's the same thing that you saw in the episode Standout Student, where the characters of Fika a lot of times would just entertain a lot of these things, but not understand that they have some serious consequences. Now, in the Matumbilas, Zofika's teacher is Mick McCruss. And so the character Mick McCruss is actually loosely based off my English teacher here that was a teacher in Glenbrook Middle School. She's no longer a teacher here, so don't even try to connect the dots. She retired a long time ago. But she's based off of that teacher. Now, my actual teacher, who kind of loosely based the character Miss McCruss on, she wasn't actually like the character in the Matumbilas, She was a little bit more socially conscious. She actually was a a very adventurous elderly woman. You know, she used to do like scuba diving lessons in her like late 60s, early 70s. Very, very powerful lady. And there's a second teacher in the Matumbilas in the episode titled Mam Harusini Kungwi, which is the 4th episode in season 2. It's a very short cameo, but there's a teacher that was there in the scene when Rajab is freestyling in the hallway. And Amina is just watching and low-key hating. This teacher walks by, you know, with a briefcase. And that teacher in the show is Mr. Bills, who is loosely based off of a teacher of mine that I also had here at Glenbrook Middle School. One of my favorite teachers of all time, actually. And he always used to give me really interesting advice. But sometimes the advice would go in ways that was not relevant to what I had problems with. It was like, hey, you know, I need guidance on how I could pass this quiz. And it was like, let's say you had a pet frog. It was like, well, what does having a pet frog have to do with this quiz? When Roger is freestyling, Mr. Bills, he comes away, he snatches Roger's phone, and he kind of goes into this little tantrum.
Oh, you're still really reporting to homeroom. Oh, man. No. That guy's so late.
Well, that was loosely based off of my teacher here at Glenbrook, where, you know, if we would aggravate him just a little bit, he would kind of go like, you guys need to go back to your homeroom, you know, and stuff like that. But hey, we live and we learn.
Students would use the word ghetto all the time. They would throw the word ghetto. This was, oh, that book is ghetto. If like a binder of a book was messed up, so, oh, that's ghetto. Or if a highlight marker wasn't working, they'll say, oh, that's ghetto. But why would they say that's ghetto? The reference meant bad. So something that was bad, janky, off, was known as ghetto. And ghetto, visually to them, was about Black people living in disparaging environments. Anything that was bad equals Black. That was the underlying subliminal message. So many of us who've gone through not just only this particular experience, but many of us Black students who've been bused to school at predominantly white institutions or suburbs, we have these situations, but many of us don't really speak about it. So many of us coming after us are still dealing with the same situations. So at some point, it's like, are we going to address it? Are we going to talk about it? What are we going to do? We're just going to just continue for these elements and these situations to keep happening and just to be like, well, tough break, buddy. You're going to figure this out on yourself. We can't do that. So that became the motivational factor for me to do this YouTube video, but also this material came from my stand-up comedy routine and how these situations came about from my time in public school. How can we put this into a narrative piece such as the Matumbilas? It's important because we need to be able to display our narratives and to share our narratives because it helps students like him and others to realize I'm not the only one going through this situation. I want to hear from y'all in the comments about your personal experiences, whether it's currently happening now or you graduated. How was it like for you if you were ever the quote-unquote only kind in your class or in your school or in any particular setting? You know, how was it like for you in those particular elements? I want to say thank y'all for watching Standout Student on YouTube and on Tubi of the Matumbilas. The episode 2, Good Old Pork. This episode as well, if you haven't checked it out, go on Tubi, watch it. If you don't have access to Tubi, go on the Matumbilas YouTube page and watch episode 2, Good Old Pork. Also, guys, to keep up the speed on this YouTube channel, you just gotta hit that subscribe link on this YouTube channel. Until then, salam, peace, and stay blessed. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.